What's going on, guys? Dave from Wake Up It's Football, bringing you guys another draft profile. Today it is Brandin Cooks, the wide receiver out of Oregon State. Just remember, keep in mind, a lot of draft stock will shift and change from now until the NFL draft. And shout out to Draft Breakdown for the highlights in this video. But let's get right into this one again. Brandin Cooks, wide receiver out of Oregon State, standing at 5'10", 186 pounds. Some collegiate stats: 226 total receptions for 3,272 yards, 24 touchdowns, and another 2 touchdowns from rushing, and a 14.5 yards per reception average. A couple of things you might want to know about Brandin Cooks: he was the Bolitnikoff Award winner in 2013, first team All Pac-12 in 2013, and consensus All-American in 2013. Now, some pros and cons to Brandin Cooks. First of all, he's got big playability written all over him. I kind of jotted down that I think he could be the next Randall Cobb for whoever ends up drafting him. I think he's going to be one of those guys who ends up going later in the first round, maybe earlier in the second round, but still produces and has a really good rookie season. I think his big playability separates him from a lot of the receivers in this upcoming draft, and a lot of things work into that. One of those things being elusiveness. I think he's very shifty. He's very dynamic. In that department, he can make a lot of guys miss, and he can extend the play, and he fights for yards. So, a 3 or 4 yard play could turn into a 12 to 15 yard play with Brandin Cooks. Another thing is his field vision. He knows how to follow his blockers. He ran a lot of flanker screens, a lot of receiver screens there at Oregon State. So I think Brandin Cooks is definitely a guy who has all those attributes, and also his hands. I never really noticed too many drops when it came to his game. It seemed as if he always reeled the ball in, and then he was off. He was doing his own thing, making guys miss and picking up some yards. So a lot of those things I think work into his pros. Now, some cons: I think backtracking is one of those where what I mean by that is, he'll receive a ball, it'll be a very shallow route, and he'll start dancing around with opposing defenders. He'll kind of backtrack, move east and west, and he'll take a loss on the play. That's him fighting for yards, and it just isn't successful, and it just doesn't go anywhere. So that's what I mean by backtracking. He'll go up 2 or 3 yards, kind of turn around, go backwards, and it's something that you really don't want to see with players, and Brandin Cooks actually does that sometimes when it comes to him trying to be elusive and shake defenders. Running east and west works into that backtracking, and also his blocking. I think he's a bit of a smaller receiver. I think he's set to be a slot receiver in the NFL. So with that being said, smaller frame, he just didn't put too much effort into blocking at times. I think his draft projection, like I said earlier, round 1 to round 2, I think it's going to be later in the first round or earlier in the second, but I can see him, going to a team that could use a nice slot receiver, and he can contribute right away. Teams of interest: I think Kansas City could use help at wide receiver, Cleveland, Carolina, New England, and Oakland. For Cleveland, I think a nice compliment to Josh Gordon could be a Brandin Cooks in the slot. Carolina, Steve Smith is really their only guy, so I think they could use some help there. New England, possibly. Oakland, needs help all over the board. I think Brandin Cooks would be a really nice utility, really nice tool to have in your offense, especially in the slot. So that's what I think. Those are my projections and teams of interest. Let me know what you guys think. Throw your comments down below on Brandin Cooks. But that's all I got for you guys today. I'm out.